Would I be the idiot if I bought a car my wife can't drive? I need to buy a new car, and I would love to have a manual transmission. It's my one non-negotiable. I grew up driving manual, and I miss it deeply. All of my cars have been inherited, so I've never had a say in my car's features, specs. This will be the first car I've purchased for myself. Finally, I'm a car guy. I enjoy driving, and I've always wanted a sporty car, but also have it fit my needs. My wife is 7 months pregnant and bought herself a new mid-size SUV last year with her own money. She views cars as a way of getting from A to B with practicality and comfort. Note, we have to park our cars back to front in our gravel driveway, with one car being in the garage. I will widen the driveway, which I can do it in a weekend, so we can park our cars side by side. We have mostly separate finances, but have a joint credit card and checking account, which we both contribute to monthly. The rest is our personal money that we keep in personal bank accounts, including separate savings and separate investments. I'm paying the down payment and monthly payments on the new car. So I feel the decision is mine, but happy to listen to my wife's thoughts, reciprocation from her car purchase. When I started the car buying process, I went with sport compacts, which are in my budget. Based on our prior discussions, the car has to be a daily commuter for me, allow me to take the kids to from daycare and quick local trips. My wife thinks these cars are too small and cannot fit our needs with a baby and a potential second child. She says there's not enough space for kid stuff. There is, and the back seats won't fit two backward-facing car seats. They will. I've tried to show her my research, but she refused to watch the videos or read the articles I've bookmarked. Her main sticking point is she won't be able to drive it because it's a manual. She's concerned she won't be able to drive it when she'll need to in an emergency. I told her I'm happy to teach her manual, but at first she flat out refused to learn. Now she says she'll learn, but gives an excuse of how we'll be too busy. I said if it's that important she drive the car, her mom can stay for a weekend to watch the baby, and we can take a day for her to learn. Again, she said we won't have time. Every time we discuss it, she accuses me of ignoring our family and that she needs to be able to drive the car. I say she's creating a false dichotomy, and the car I want can fit our needs. I also argue that her car can be the big family car for trips or hauling, and my car can be for easy parking during city trips or sports events. Note, I don't drink, so I will always be able to drive. We've had many arguments over this. The most recent resulted in her giving me the cold shoulder for 2 days. I am at my wit's end and ready to buy without her blessing. Would I be the idiot if I ignored my wife's objections and got the car I wanted? Edit. I'm specifically looking at is a Honda Civic Si. We live walking distance to urgent care, CVS, and a grocery store. Our neighbor is a NICU nurse if shoot really hits the fan. And we do babysit my Phil's SUV, he works lives abroad, which we use on occasion, but we don't know when he'll be returning. So a third car is not an option for now. Edit 2, classic RIP my inbox. After parsing through this thread, there are separate issues at play that I've sorted out, and here's what I've gathered. 1. IWBTA for buying a car my wife can't drive without her blessing. Yes, I fully acknowledge my timing of this is awful. I will postpone the purchase until after the baby arrives, and I'll get an automatic to ensure we both drive the car. 2. I'm not a jerk for wanting a manual car, and the model of car I want is reasonable. My wife could learn eventually, but that's her choice. Again, my timing is terrible, which makes me the a-hole, so I'm going to get my fun car in a few years' time. Clarifying point, I don't want an SUV. They're more expensive, and I much prefer driving a car that's not high up. I also think automotive companies have shoved a narrative down Americans' throats that SUVs are the only family-friend options, which is false. Literally just look at the rest of the world. Final edit. Our finances are more fluid than what a lot of you think. When one of us thinks the other should chip in on a cost, we just either ask for reimbursement or just put the cost on the joint credit card. All of her auto maintenance so far has gone on the joint credit card because currently her car is already acting as the workhorse of the house, and I recognize that. And finally, despite the fact I've decided to get an automatic, to everyone saying, what if your car breaks down or is in the shop? We'd handle it like adults. We'd coordinate picking her up and dropping her off at the auto shop dealership. She can work from home when needed, and she also can easily take commuter rail to and from work. Also, Uber and Lyft exist. I still have to commute to and from my job daily and get my own shoot done, least of which will be taking the kid to and from daycare. I'm not just giving her my car because hers breaks down. Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1, I understand, but I've got to go with you're the idiot if it's your family's second car. Things are not purchased for you or your wife anymore. The overall family dynamic has to be the primary consideration. Even if you take a day and teach her how to drive stick, she's not going to get enough day-to-day practice to be really comfortable with it. If there is a car or a medical emergency where she has to drive it, it will only add to an otherwise stressful situation. But consider this. Get a lower-priced, family-friendly compact car with 4 doors and automatic transmission. Then use the remainder to buy a third car that's just your hobby car, probably an older car or a fixer. If you widen the driveway as you propose, you will have room for 3 cars. And if your wife complains that this is not a family-friendly decision, you can point out that a family with 3 cars never has to worry about what the kids will drive when they're older. Comment 2. Anyone else's ears perked up with the comment about tandem parking, and he will pour the concrete over a weekend? How many weekends has he been putting off this task? She's 7 months pregnant, she's hormonal, she's probably dealing with some limited movement, and she's likely deep into nesting. Go ahead and pour the parking pad, then revisit the car discussion. If he has a history of putting off tasks, who among us doesn't? She may be panicking at a survival level. Her car stuck behind a car she can't move, baby in need. Hormones are strong, nesting and survival instincts are real. Now for the update. Hey everyone, thanks for reading my last post and for all your thoughtful comments and advice. It's been a wild few days since I last updated, and I've got quite a bit to share. After our last big argument about the car, my wife and I didn't speak for a couple of days. The tension was obvious, and I could tell she was still upset. On the 3rd day, I decided to try and smooth things over. I made her favorite breakfast and sat down with her to talk. I apologized for not considering her feelings more and admitted that my timing on wanting to buy this car was pretty terrible, with the baby coming soon and all. She appreciated the apology, but then dropped the news on me. She confessed that her resistance to me getting a manual car wasn't just about the practicality of it. Turns out, when she was 16, she was in a bad car accident while learning to drive stick with her dad. She'd never told me about it before. The accident left her with some lingering trauma around driving manual cars. Suddenly, her strong opposition made a lot more sense. I felt terrible that she'd been carrying this around and hadn't felt comfortable telling me sooner. I reassured her that I understood better now where she was coming from and that I would never want to put her in a situation that made her anxious or brought up bad memories. We had a long emotional talk about it, and I think it brought us closer. In light of this new information, I've decided to hold off on buying a car for now. I'm going to wait until after the baby is born and we've settled into a routine before revisiting the car issue. And when I do, I'll be looking at automatic cars that we can both drive comfortably. My desire for a manual sports car doesn't trump my wife's mental well-being and feeling of safety. I'm also going to start researching some bigger car options that can still be fun to drive, but will better accommodate our growing family. I realize now that I was being a bit stubborn in insisting on a compact car. While I still believe they can work for families, I acknowledge that something a bit more spacious might serve us better in the long run, especially if we have a second kid. Over the weekend, my wife and I took some time to just reconnect and focus on us. Her mom came over to help out with some baby prep stuff, which gave us a chance to go out for a nice dinner, just the 2 of us. It felt good to set aside the car debate and just enjoy each other's company. We also started talking more about our plans and dreams for the future, beyond just what car to buy. We discussed our hopes for our growing family, potential career moves, and even the possibility of moving to a bigger house in a few years. It was a good reminder that we're a team and that we need to make decisions together, with both of our needs and wants in mind. In the end, this whole car incident has been a learning experience. It's shown me the importance of really listening to and considering my partner's perspective, even when I think I know best. It's also highlighted some communication issues we need to work on. We've committed to being more open with each other about our fears, anxieties, and past experiences that might be influencing our current decisions and behaviors. As for the car situation, while I'm a bit disappointed to be putting my manual sports car dreams on hold, I know it's the right thing to do for my family. And who knows, maybe in a few years when the kids are a bit older, I can revisit the idea of getting my dream car. For now, I'm just focused on being the best husband and soon-to-be dad I can be. Thanks again to everyone who weighed in with advice and perspectives. It really helped me gain clarity on the situation. I'll keep you all posted on how things progress. Wish us luck as we navigate these exciting but challenging times. Am I the idiot for canceling my baby shower after my mom botched the planning and lied about it? I am a professional proofreader. My only job is to change parts of the text that do not make sense when read aloud. Here is the corrected text. I am 31 years old and currently 30 weeks pregnant with my first baby. My mom, who is 58 years old, volunteered to plan my baby shower. I thought this was great, given that my relationship with my family has been strained for a while. I told my mom everything that I would like for the baby shower, including the theme, decorations, guest list, and food. I knew she had never planned big events like this, so I told her to call my fiance's mom, who is 54 years old and has experience in planning big events. I asked her to get the guest list from my fiance's mom, as my fiance, who is 36 years old, doesn't have all the contact information for his side of the family. She said she would, but weeks passed and I found out that she never called my fiance's mom. Instead, my fiance's mom took the initiative to call her and offer her help. My mom declined the help and did not get the guest list. She told my fiance's mom that she would take care of the food. I had to keep calling my mom every week to offer my help, as she was not keeping me updated on what was happening with the baby shower. She always declined my help and never provided any information about the preparations. Yesterday, my fiance's mom called my fiance to let him know that my mom never called her back regarding what to make for the baby shower and did not get the guest list from her. I was confused, as I thought they had been in contact more than once. I called my mom and asked her why she didn't call back to discuss the food and get the guest list. She became defensive and attempted to blame me for her lack of action. She only invited my fiance's mom and sister and did not invite anyone else from his side of the family. I hung up on her when she said, "Would anyone even come, or are you trying to make me feel bad?" My dad, who is 60 years old, called me and yelled at me about the situation. I hung up on him since I did not want to be yelled at while being 30 weeks pregnant. We had a back and forth conversation through text after the call until my dad told me that he was taking my mom to urgent care. About 20 minutes later, my dad called me back. He argued with me and brought up how he funded my college, even though I have been financially independent for almost 10 years. They always make me feel guilty for the material things they have given me, which I never asked for. They never listen to what I truly need, which is for them to just listen and be there for me. The boiling point was when my mom blatantly lied in front of my dad, claiming that my fiance's mom never called her. That was it for me. I told them to cancel the baby shower this weekend and that I am done. She lied to save herself and tried to blame someone else instead of apologizing and taking responsibility. She disrespected my fiance's family and did not invite any of them, even though there is family in the area. I have not heard from them since yesterday, and I feel heartbroken and extremely stressed out. To add to it, my estranged sister, who is 27 years old, sent me horrible and vile texts that even mentioned my unborn child. Am I the jerk in this situation? Now for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. So completely not the jerk. Your parents are childish, and this behavior reminds me of my grandiose, overt narcissist father and my covert narcissist mother. Your parents may not be full-blown narcissists, but the behavior situation you just described is very narcissistic, hurtful behavior on your mother's part, and at least enabling behavior on your father's, insisting on paying for things you didn't ask for, and then holding it over you, bringing up things they paid for a decade ago, or even money they spent on your basic upkeep as a child, flat out lying and doubling down when confronted over their childish, disrespectful behavior. Ugly. And your sister sounds like the favored child. Comment 2. Please go sit in the sun, sunscreen, hat of course, and put your hands on your belly and take some slow, deep breaths for you and your baby. Your mother is behaving like a child, and you're about to have a child, so you definitely don't need to be dealing with that. Plan your shower with your mother-in-law or a friend and invite people who fill your heart with joy. Now, for the update, hey there, thanks for all the comments and support on my last post. It's been interesting to say the least of a month since then, and I've got quite the update for you all. So after the whole baby shower fiasco with my mom, things were pretty tense between us. I tried to give her some space to cool off, but it seemed like every time we talked, she just wanted to rehash the same old arguments. It was exhausting, especially being so far along in my pregnancy. About a week after the canceled shower, my fiance's mom decided to throw us a surprise baby shower instead. It was really sweet of her, and it was so nice to have all of his family there to celebrate with us. My mom and dad weren't invited, which was probably for the best given how things had been going. But here's where things took a turn. Apparently, my sister found out about the surprise shower from one of my cousins who had been invited. She showed up unannounced and started causing a scene, yelling at my fiance's mom for stealing the baby shower from our mom. It was mortifying. I tried to calm my sister down and get her to leave, but she just kept getting more and more worked up. Finally, my fiance had to step in and escort her out of the party. It was a total mess. Later that night, my mom called me in tears, saying that my sister had told her everything that happened. She accused me of purposely excluding her from the shower and said that I was trying to replace her with my fiance's mom. I tried to explain that it wasn't like that at all, but she just wouldn't listen. Things only got worse from there. My dad started sending me angry texts, saying that I was tearing the family apart and that I needed to apologize to my mom and sister. I was so hurt and frustrated by the whole situation. I started thinking back to when I was younger and how my mom and sister had always had a really close bond. They would go on shopping trips together and have these long heart-to-heart talks, while I always felt like the odd one out. It was like they had this special club that I wasn't allowed to be a part of. I realized that maybe some of those old feelings of exclusion were resurfacing now that I was starting my own family. It was like my mom couldn't handle the idea of me having a close relationship with my fiance's mom, even though she had never really made an effort to be there for me in the same way. As much as it pained me, I knew I needed to set some boundaries with my family. I told my parents that I loved them, but that I couldn't keep getting caught in the middle of their drama. I said that if they wanted to be a part of my life and my child's life, they needed to start respecting my choices and my relationships. It's been a few weeks since then, and things are still a bit rocky. My mom and sister have reached out a couple of times, but it feels like they're still holding on to a lot of resentment. I'm trying to focus on the positive though, like the fact that my fiancé and his family have been so supportive throughout all of this. I know that family relationships can be complicated and that there's no easy fix for the kind of deep-seated issues we have. But I'm hopeful that with time and patience, we can find a way to move forward and build a healthier dynamic. Anyway, that's where things are at now. Thanks for letting me vent and for all of your kind words and advice. It really means a lot to have this community to turn to during such a challenging time. Am I the idiot for not wanting to reconnect with my half-brother? Despite my in-laws' pressure, I, 25-year-old female, married Ryan, 25-year-old male, 7 months ago. His family and I get along fine, but for 6 years they had no idea about my family background. And the reason is because they are so family-oriented and so naive to the reality of unhappy and toxic families that they come across as preachy about being close. This is something Ryan warned me about and spoke to them about before. They still comment on it regularly though. I don't speak to my family. I have a dad who raised me and a half-brother I was raised alongside half of my life. I'm an affair baby, and that came between me and my half-brother always. My mother didn't stick around long enough for me to ever know her, and I never tried to track her down later. My dad ignored how damaging it was to have my half-brother always throw in my face how much he and his mom wished I didn't exist. Dad would also try to make his ex-wife and me interact, and she'd get so pissed I would hear her tell him she'd rather be dead than interact with me. The last time I saw my half-brother was when he was 22, and he told me to my face he would never love me or consider me part of his family, and he saw me as repulsive, just like our dad. My dad heard this, and he still dismissed how much that would hurt. So I don't speak to my dad anymore by choice and my half-brother, and I don't talk by his own choice. Any extended family treat me like I had the affair because they're closer to dad's ex-wife than dad. I was a casualty of that. Plus, they adore my half-brother, and he made it clear he didn't want me to be around. I don't talk about it often, and very few people know. I didn't tell my in-laws for years because of their attitudes around family, and when I did a few weeks before I married Ryan, the reaction at first was somewhat surprising because they said nothing judgmental. But ever since that point, they have talked about my half-brother a lot, and even his mom, and for some reason they feel like me reaching out to them would heal everything, and we'd skip into the sunset arm in arm. Ryan told them it wasn't going to happen and to let it drop, so they got more subtle or less direct. But a week ago they brought it up again, and they told me how much better my life would be if I put in the effort to heal these relationships, because family is everything. Ryan told them not all biological families are equal. They told him they're still essential for us, though. I told them it wasn't true in my case, and my half-brother's mom isn't related to me in any way, and that my half-brother is repulsed by me. He considers me filthy because I'm an affair baby. I told them that's not something I can fix from simply reaching out, and I told them this very attitude about family is why I never told them for so long. Ryan had my back, but his family were extremely upset by my words. Mother-in-law's anger was the most clear, and she told me it's unfair to judge them for wanting families to be healthy, and that's all they try to help with. Am I the jerk, Aita? Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1, not the idiot. When people get like that with me about my shitty parents, I ask them, do you believe there are people who do nasty, terrible things to people in this world, right? If they say no, I tell them they are naive and should touch ground or something, LOL. And if they say yes, I remind them that those people have families also, and that includes children. Those children exist in the world, and surprise! You're looking at one. That usually shuts them up, or at least makes them feel as uncomfortable as I do. Comment 2, not the idiot, and I'm sorry you're having to deal with this. You've been blamed enough for something that was not your fault. And now these jerks are acting like it's your fault you can't or don't want to try to have a relationship with people who have treated you like a criminal. Also, is it just biology that counts for them? Because I would think you're part of their family now, and as family, they should be supporting you, not challenging and criticizing your reality and decisions. Now, for the update. Hey everyone, thanks for reading my update. It's been a week since I shared my story about my in-laws pushing me to reconnect with my estranged family, and a lot has happened since then. After the heated conversation with my mother-in-law, things were tense between us. Ryan and I decided to give them some space to process what I had shared about my past. However, a few days later, we received an unexpected invitation from them to join a family therapy session. They believed it would help us all understand each other better and find a way to move forward. Ryan and I were hesitant at first, but we decided to take the risk and attend the session. We knew it could either make or break our relationship with his family, but we hoped it would lead to a positive outcome. During the therapy session, emotions ran high as we delved into our family histories and the impact they had on our lives. I shared more about my childhood, the pain of being an affair baby, and the rejection I faced from my half-brother and his mother. It was difficult to open up, but I knew it was necessary for them to understand my perspective. As I spoke, I noticed a shift in my in-laws' demeanor. They listened intently, and I could see the realization dawning on their faces. They began to understand the depth of my hurt and the reasons behind my decision to distance myself from my biological family. Ryan's mother, who had been the most vocal about me reaching out to my half-brother, surprised us all by sharing her own story. She revealed that she had a strained relationship with her sister, who had always been jealous of her success. They hadn't spoken in years, and she admitted that she projected her own desire for reconciliation onto my situation. This revelation was a turning point in the session. We all began to see each other in a new light, recognizing that every family has its own unique challenges and that there is no one-size-fits-all solution. As the session progresses, we work together to establish boundaries and find a way to move forward. My in-laws apologized for pushing me to reconnect with my family without fully understanding my situation. They acknowledged that my well-being and happiness should be the priority, and they promised to support me in whatever decision I made regarding my biological family. The therapy session ended on a positive note, with hugs and tears all around. We left feeling closer as a family, with a newfound understanding and respect for each other's experiences and choices. In the days that followed, I noticed a significant change in my relationship with my in-laws. They made an effort to be more mindful of my feelings and to avoid bringing up my estranged family unless I initiated the conversation. They also started including me in more family activities, making me feel truly accepted and loved. Looking back, I realized that taking the risk to attend the therapy session was the best decision we could have made. It allowed us to have an open and honest conversation, to heal old wounds, and to strengthen our bond as a family. While I may never have a relationship with my biological family, I am grateful for the family I have found in Ryan and his parents. Their love and support have shown me that family is not just about blood, but about the people who choose to stand by your side through thick and thin. Thank you for reading my update and for all the support and advice you've given me along the way. It means more than you know. If you like this video, you'll probably like these too. Also, while you're here, please consider subscribing. It's your support that keeps this channel alive and allows me to make better and longer videos. Have a great day.